everyone to Wednesdays with Britta and Sue. We missed you guys last week when we were unable to come to you because of the work that Britta had done that we had mentioned the week before. She wasn't feeling quite up to par, so she needed to take the time to heal herself so that when we come out here, everybody's at maximum capacity, which is the only way we want to come to you. So thank you for joining us. We have got a really fun hour coming up. We've received some questions in from you guys, so we're going to be tackling some of those and talking about that. I believe that we started to get into boundaries last time that we were here, so we're also going to be getting into that. And, goodness knows what else is going to come up. And just, real quick, as we're going along, if any of you have questions, go over to the webpage, which is brittaandsue.com. Go over to the question tab, click on that, and you're going to be able to submit everything. We'll be clicking through and viewing those as we go along. So if anybody has something, feel free to contribute and share and really make this time about all of us and about you, because that's what we're here for. So Britta, say hi.
Hello, everybody. Hi. So good to be back. So happy to see everybody and be here with you all. And Sue, I'm so happy for you. You're sitting outside. How nice is that? Oh,
I take full advantage of this while I'm able to.
Of course. Of course. Good. So, should we jump right in?
Absolutely.
So, so last time we had touched on it a little bit, right? Boundaries.
Yes.
And, there's so much to boundaries. And boundaries are something that's very personal. And I think that that's where I would like to start it off on my end, is to really, for everybody to understand that boundaries are yours and you will grow with your boundaries, So boundaries will evolve as you shift and change. Your boundaries will also shift and change. So, of course, boundaries have to do with how something makes you feel, right? If something or somebody is pushing into your space or invading your space or sucking on your energy, you will feel that. So there are some clear signs to reinforce boundaries, but also boundaries have very much to do with your standards and your principles and your morals and what you believe for yourself is right, and that will also evolve and shift and change. So boundaries are a very obtuse thing that is a really, really, really important aspect that will immediately relate to your sense of self, to your self-worth, and to your self-love.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that with boundaries, that if you're not used to setting them for yourself, how incredibly uncomfortable it is when you start to. Because, and a lot of us, and I'm going to kind of more preface it, a lot of females are really used to being the moms, the girlfriends, the wives, the caretakers, the ones that people come to when they need something or they want something, and needs and wants are two very different things, especially when you're dealing with the shorter folks and the younger folks. They don't separate those, and it's really, especially here, society has always put these roles on us. And, even for the gentleman, there's a lot of pressure to be a provider and, to be, the man. And, both of those genders carry you're carrying memories and societal pressure so that you're really not used to saying no or yes to certain things. So when you first start to do this, it can be super, super uncomfortable. And, we tend to shy away from things that are outwardly uncomfortable and eat the feelings that we have about it. So as we're talking about this, maybe think a little bit in your own life. Where have you been saying yes or no to someone? Inside, it was just that, oh, damn, I've got to do this again. And okay, let's add this to the list of 15,000 other things I need to do, and start to recognize where you're not really being clear in your own world of where your boundaries are and how you're letting other people, and especially those that you love, come in and take advantage of you when it makes you feel horrible inside.
Yes, yes, yes. Very, very, very good point. I want to definitely connect right into that. What Sue said about learning how to set boundaries and learning yourself within boundaries, right? And so that is definitely a growing experience, and really take that pressure off of yourself and let it become an exercise for yourself, right? And allow yourself to evolve with the understanding of what boundaries really mean to you. And if you want to imagine, for example, in this case, look to people that you admire. Look to people that you feel set a great example. Look to people that you see as very strong and clear within their boundaries, because I think sometimes it's very helpful to just observe how other people are going about it. To just not that you have to be a copycat, but to get a sense for what other people do and how they go about it, I think is very helpful in this case.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that was just coming to me, when you're looking at other people, if you're looking for things that are outside of your family, one kind of good way that you might be able to sort that out is if you're in, say, a store or a boss relationship, someone who has a little bit of power or thinks that they have power, and when you're asking them for something and they kind of shut you down or let you know that that's a no for them, and you walk away going, wow, that person was just the biggest bitch on the face of the earth, that might be a really good clue for you that it's not so much that it's that person, but you're reacting to a limitation that you have inside of yourself, and it's being transmitted over to you, which is a great place to start to look and start questioning yourself and asking what's really going on. And if they're really clear-cut that no, this cannot happen, try to see where you can put that into your own world. And if this person really is being a bitch, or if they just have a great set of boundaries and that's something you don't have in that situation.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I love it. What a great point. Yes. Because, people that are not comfortable with boundaries, right, and people that don't really know boundaries, oftentimes will not like them.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Because it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, definitely pay attention. Pay attention to how you are feeling, because boundaries are very much, even though you may have your rules and regulations that are your morals and your standards and your principles and what you feel is right and what's wrong, but then, the subtle but very important boundaries throughout the day in your everyday life are, feeling based.
Yes.
How somebody makes you feel, or how you in your strengths are also going to make somebody feel. And particularly when you start getting clearer on what you like and what you don't like and what is good for you and what isn't good for you, know that the people in your environment and in your circle of life will react. And not everybody is going to love them, but eventually they will respect them.
Absolutely. I'm sorry, we just had a question come in over the website, so I just was over there looking and trying to go that because Rachel wrote in, and it was a great example of boundaries. So let me read the question and see how we can get into this for her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so Rachel, again, this she wrote in and said that in this situation, she was at a bed and breakfast. And the hostess had made it very clear that everything I asked for to be comfortable was beyond what she could graciously provide for me. She rolled her eyes when I tried to help her help me, and in general made her feel like an imposter. At the same time, she was not completely honest about the surroundings, and now Rachel had to somehow adapt to everything. It was extremely uncomfortable, but she had had a strict cancellation policy, so both of them had to tough it out. She knows she should have canceled, but it wasn't an option at that point, and it was too late, etc., etc. But she ended up feeling very compromised and saddened by the whole situation, as well as she assumes that the innkeeper must also. So I guess her question kind of boils down to, how do you go into something like this and respect both of your boundaries so that there's no repeats of these scenarios?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, from what I'm understanding is that, so this was a bed and breakfast, which is a one-time experience.
Right.
Right, the first time you go in, and so I think that there was expectation of what was supposed to be, and then Rachel getting there, and it wasn't that at all. So, I think here, Rachel, I think because this is, you dealing with a service industry, the one way to go about it is for you to actually speak your truth to the lady, that and make sure you come from a calm place, very logical, very clear, and let her know that your expectations weren't met, and that you can even give examples as to why.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even let her know that in your opinion she misadvertised, and that you could even say that you will leave, if there is a place where you leave messages and notes and comments, that you won't give her the greatest review, because you really feel that what you paid for is not what you got.
Absolutely.
So, and so by that you can, be in your truth and express your truth, but also share with her what happened for you. So this way you're setting your boundary very clear.
Yes.
Very, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one of the things that kind of comes to me with this is, it sounds like she was really trying to maintain and stay within her comfort zones and her boundaries during the experience. And, just real quick, before you engage in another situation like that, one thing that might be helpful is just set your intention that, this will be something that goes a little bit more smoothly than what this does, that particular time did, and that you will stay in your truth throughout the whole situation from A to Z so that you're not left feeling compromised when you leave. So that, it's really just kind of feeling your own power as you're going into it. And, again, putting the attention out there beforehand that this is going to be smooth and easy, and you will speak your truth the whole time if you need to. And in some cases, you won't need to. But it sounds like you did a really great job of, staying true to yourself. Now it's kind of, how do you handle it so you continue to stay true to yourself and that it feels good to you? And, you know how it feels to not, so you kind of keep aiming for when it does.
Yes. And what immediately comes in for me is the spiritual perspective on that. Because, we are also vessels to teach each other. And we are often being used without even really realizing that we're being used. So it seems that you, Rachel, were being used to practice, of course, yourself and your strength and in your truth and expressing that, but also teaching this other person that the way she was going about her business was not authentic, and that by you being very clear and very correct, she will hopefully learn. And she will hopefully adjust herself to be more accommodating and to be more authentic in the way she's advertising herself.
Absolutely. Right? Yes. I like that. I like that approach better, that it's a learning experience for everyone on both ends. And, it really does show the connectedness and the oneness between all of us when you kind of take it down to those levels, because this now affects everyone. And in the future, everyone's that are going to interact personally with them. So, okay, that can get a little bit too much for right now, but you kind of get where that's going.
So from here, let's stick with the spiritual aspect of boundaries for a moment, because if you think of yourself as energy, right? Because you are energy and you're manifested into this earthly form in form of energy. And you have an energy space, also referred to as the aura. So here within your space, within your aura, within all of your earthly bodies, you are meant to thrive and shine and feel strong and empowered in your space, right? This is your space and you hold your energy, right? And so in this space, you will become more and more and more sensitive toward when something takes away from it, or when something adds to it and feeds it, right? And so that is really a practice of awareness, to become more and more aware of, what supports you in your empowerment and what feeds you and what makes you feel good and what doesn't. And so this energy space and this energy awareness is very important in regard to knowing and feeling your needs for your energy and your well-being and your sense of authentic empowerment within yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? You want to say something, right, Sue?
No, the thing is just flipping around by itself.
What?
Technology is wonderful.
What technical director?
Yeah, I think I've got it set now.
So yes, to understand energy in everybody in their own space is so important, and this is a big part of what I teach, because I feel that, you know, as we are in this new paradigm and we are in this massive consciousness awakening, we are all going to be much more aware of who we really are. That we are not just these physical bodies, and we're not just our minds and the thoughts that we're thinking every day, but we are really powerful and we're really vast and we are energy. And so to begin to bring your attention to that more is already in itself going to open up a learning and an awareness and an understanding of yourself. Right? And so, you know, because ultimately all of the power struggle that's going on still on this planet and all of that, you know, imbalance really in its essence has to do with energy. It's either, you know, looking to take away power from others, right? So disempower others for the self to feel more powerful, which is energetically incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or to not knowingly give away your power, your energy. Right? And so both of these examples, the first one is, you know, being a bully and being too opinionated and too controlling and too much meddling in other people and places and things, or the other opposite side of it is to be too timid and to play too small and to say yes and it's okay and to be bending over backwards to please others, which is then disempowering and you giving away your energy. So, you know, ultimately, if you find yourself in either one of those more often, you're being honest with yourself, then from there, just by the awareness, there's nothing bad about it, don't beat yourself up. Mm-hmm. Just the awareness about it will then allow you to pay attention to find the balance. Because there's always a place to say yes, and there's always a time to say no.
Absolutely. That is such a great point on that. Now, we've gotten another question in about clashing boundaries, and I think that kind of fits in with this really nicely. That, you know,
was crashing? What?
Clashing, when your boundaries are clashing with another individual, you know, how do you get out of that kind of gracefully while still being true to yourself? And, you know, if you have an immediate thought on that, because I'm going, okay, well, you know, a couple of quick things, but, you know, usually it's, okay, stronger person wins, but, you know, that's really not the wonderful way to do that.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes it's also appropriate to just agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't need to be you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Because sure. Ultimately, remember, it's not about pleasing the other person, right? It's about you being so honest with yourself that you understand and you see and you make an effort to really get where the other person is coming from and to really slip into their shoes and stand there for a moment and, okay, so yeah, I'm trying this on and I get it, and mm-hmm. That's good. And to be respectful, yes, of another's boundaries, no judgment, right? But then at the same time, you slip back into your shoes and you stand in your shoes and in your truth, and you can even like take a moment to, is this still correct? Does this feel still appropriate for me right now? And if it is, then mm-hmm. you can really allow yourself to say, okay, you know, I get you, and I totally respect it, but I'm really happy within my boundary here for this moment, and so let's just agree to disagree.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think part of it, too, is, you know, the situation that you're in? Is this a personal situation? Is this a professional? You know, are you trying to engage someone's services? Are they trying to engage yours? Oh, bugs! Yay! Sorry. You know, and that's going to unfortunately put some types of parameters on where you can go, because you know you can't walk into a grocery store and walk up to the front of the line and cut everybody off because your internal says, oh, but you know, I'm in a hurry, I only have 2 minutes, so I must leave and you must wait on me now. Okay, yeah, there's kind of a boundary there, but it's an unrealistic expectation based on that circumstance. So I think that that's kind of important to differentiate. You know, are you in an environment that you are 100% free to be able to set the limits, or are you in a situation that already has limits on it and you need to work in that confinement?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, 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 absolutely. And if you
Personal
think
boundaries.
about, huh?
You know, I know we're talking a lot about personal boundaries, but some of the questions that have been coming in seem more to do with situations that are not 100% in their control. So it's just kind of important to differentiate, you know, as to what you're able to really affect at that point,
Mm-hmm.
while still staying truthful to yourself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. You know, and I think that in regard to boundaries clashing, you know, if the situation, again, don't put pressure on having to have a solution immediately. Because remember, you know, boundaries are flexible, right? And so, you know, allow for the understanding of each other's boundaries to be there. So make sure you communicate. Make sure both parties are aware of the other's experience, right? And so then from there, you know, maybe within time, you will find a way to have a healthy compromise there, right? Something that works for both sides. But again, give it space, give it breathing room. Boundaries like to breathe. Remember, it's energy.
That is another great point, that you can't just live with very set bars. And, you know, I think that that's where, you know, and I kind of look at things from a more, you know, we're starting to do these and might not be super comfortable with them. And I keep trying to think back of, wow, what did I go through when I first started to implement this? So that's kind of the take that I come on to this with. And so that's a fabulous point. It's not set in stone. And you know, it's not a law. It's not a rule. And if it starts feeling differently to you, you can change it on a drop of a dime. And it doesn't matter, as long as you're continuing to honor yourself and it always feels good to you. You're not feeling like you're less than because you've changed it or changed your stance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. You know, and ultimately just communicating about it, right? And being able to speak and understand and feel heard and feel understood, you know what I mean? Already that in itself oftentimes releases the pressure created through the clashing energetically, you know? So you really, you know, talk, express, encourage the other person to talk about it. So, you know, because that in itself is already a miracle cure that will release a lot of tension.
Yes.
In itself.
Absolutely. Oh, you know, and that's always, you know, that pressure cooker kind of going down. always a great thing. That's what we're looking for on all levels in our life, So that's another really great point, Britta.
But then again, and I'm thinking of another example. If you are dealing with somebody who is totally set in their ways and who will not even care to look at things from your perspective and who will not even be open to wanting to talk about it or to even understand, right? So if you're dealing with that kind of a person, well, then you just have to kind of understand that, okay, so here now you, for yourself, need to get very clear on how important is your truth to you and your boundary, because as you can see, that person is not going to budge. And so it reminds me of my father, actually. And, so depending on what the relationship is, again, right, maybe there are certain things you just don't talk about with that person. Maybe there are certain arguments you just don't get into because already that's what you're going to get from that person. And so that's where you just, have to just, practice acceptance of who they are, and what they're about. And you just don't go there, and you just stick to yourself and be an adult and be an independent. Allow them their space, and you allow yourself your space.
Yes. And that, that's the wonderful compromise in yourself that lets you to feel good while still, again, you're still in your truth and you're letting the other person be in theirs without trying to impose yours onto them or judging them for not seeing it your way. Which, that's not always a comfortable situation for anyone either, and that just further perpetuates clashing. So, yeah, and, that can be the boundary in itself, is that you can't change this other person. So yours is not to let them walk over you and take it in that way emotionally. And you've created that separation and the breathing room and a way to make you, allow the interactions to be so much more comfortable for both of you.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think that this is, if we're looking at, the bigger picture of what's going on globally, coexistence within our differences, right, is huge.
Yes.
Huge. Because, we are all so different, and all of the different cultures and all of the different traditions and, everything that plays into it, really this gives us opportunity to practice peaceful coexistence within our own little countries, right? Within our own little lives, because we have all these different players in our own circles that are very different.
Absolutely, yes. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. So, do you want to take that one question about the 1111?
Ah, yes, that was one that came in, and I keep going over and checking if we have any more that are coming in that we can bounce off to.
Yeah.
We had one that came in over the last week and asked us, what can we expect from yesterday's 1111 energy? And I thought that that was really kind of neat because, numbers mean so many different things to different people. And you know that there's a lot of numerologists out there. And if you've read anything about it, yesterday was a wonderful power number. And it was bringing in wonderful magical energies yesterday. And, they're there and they're helping propel us into 2015 and, kind of what we're creating in the next month or two. is the primary driving force for the coming year. And, some of that can sound a little bit intimidating. Um, so, I like to break things down a little bit more than that. Personally, 11/11 is always a wonderful, magical day. There's a blessing and a gift on every 11/11 for me. And it's been wonderful. And, yesterday for us, we celebrated a new family member that last year my daughter found this wonderful hound dog. And, okay, and, he was only supposed to be here a week or two. He's still here. And he's been just this greatest gift ever. So, we celebrated him yesterday, and he got, extra bones and extra food and extra walks and extra love. He didn't know what it was, but he was just really happy to receive all of this. And, then there were also just some fun, magical little things coming down. Nothing that anybody would be like, oh my gosh, it was, this spectacular lightning striking moment. But it was the resolution of a few different things. And, kind of hope came in on a situation that was not looking just the wonderment of this 11/11 energy that I kind of went into it going, okay, what's today? What can you show me that's wonderful? What can I receive today? And that, is probably not something that you reserve just for 11/11, but when you get it and you ask for it and you think of it on that day, it kind of takes on another magical moment. So when I look at that, it's really telling me, and this is for everyone, that, it's a reminder that there's magic for each of us and our own ability to ask for, to receive, and to co-create the magic that we can take and expect to come in over the next couple of months and bring into our 2015. And that, for me, is the magic of 11/11, is it's the reminder of how powerful each and every one of us is on every day of the year, not just one in particular. So I don't know if that answers your question or if you were really expecting more list, but the list is remember and remind yourself every day. That was kind of my take on the 11/11.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Still to this day, whenever the clock says 11:11 or 12:12
or 111
or 111 or 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Whenever something like that is on the clock, I take a pause and I say thank you. And I'm just like, hi, thank you for loving me, thank you for supporting me. I just kind of like connect with the other realms and give it that moment of awareness.
Absolutely. No, I still have the throwback from when my daughter was in elementary school, and 11/11 was your wish time. So now I kind of combine it that when I see 11/11, I make my wish, and then I do my whole gratitude for everything that I have, and I like you for loving me. I think I'm going to add that in because that just sounds so wonderful. But, it just, again, shows you how personalized everything is to each of us, and you find what feels great for you. And you don't have to go with conventional everything. Even if 10 or 20 or 1,000 people are saying 11/11 must mean, it doesn't matter if that doesn't feel good for you. And that's really the great point of all of this, is you're honoring yourself and what feels right for you. Oh, I can see you talking.
I'm agreeing quietly. I'm like saying, yes, that's right. And I think because it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day doings of the human reality, responsibilities, and the thought patterns that are just swirling through your mind, to use these little helpers, whether it's 0808 or 1010 or 1111 or 1212, it doesn't, right? Whatever, like Sue said, means to you or you want to use to just break up that just being human into opening up into your duality, opening up into the magic, opening up into the angels, the guides, opening up into your higher self, opening up into your grandma or your grandpa or, you know, whatever or whoever you want to relate to in that moment.
Yes.
Right? To use these tools to more and more and more live consciously in that duality that you really are.
Yes. Absolutely. And, you know, oops, this thing is just going to drive me nutty today. Okay, there we go. It's just not working right, that's all. I mean, you know, that's kind of the fun part of everything and just letting it roll. You know, one of the big things that keeps striking me with this really is, you know, as we're talking about, you know, being able to connect with the duality, is really receiving it in. And that's something that's super important because, you know, you can wave high all you want to these things, but when you really open up and say, ooh, I'm open, I'm willing, I'm ready, I would love to receive what you have to give me. That's part of starts happening, and that's when you really start feeling and knowing inside that you are so a part of the different worlds, and you know the duality becomes really real. And you know, a lot of us have these logical minds that love tangible items in front of them, and that was a way that I could pacify my logical mind and let it just kind of take a vacation and go away, and be able to play in the different realms. Was just to invite it in with wonderful gratitude and let them know I was ready for it. And that's really hugely helpful to be able to, you know, manage a lot of different circumstances in our own lives.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I love the way you said that, to pacify the logical mind. I mean, great way to put it, Sue. You know, because most people have this really strong logical mind that really just, you know, needs to make sense of everything and questions everything. And so to understand that that is okay, but it's not who you are.
Yeah.
And to really get your foot in that door a little bit and, you know, do what you can to get out of that thinking all the time, right? Because that thinking, that logical, critical, worrying, doubting mind will keep you away from the magic.
Yes. And it knows that it's doing that too. Because for most of us, that part of our brain is the one that, well, how can this possibly work? Well, if I can't see it, touch it, feel it, taste it, then it's probably not there. And, you know, this is kind of back when you were a little kid and you were daydreaming and someone told you to stop that and you needed to just work really, really hard and focus on everything that's in front of you. You know, that logical mind was trained from a very young age to be very critical and tell you what you're doing is not right and that magic no longer exists outside of Disney movies. So, you know, some of us have that one, and it's really kind of a bear to get it to kick back. Because it likes to be heard, it likes to think that it's right, and something you said, Britta, is it really wants to make you feel like what it's thinking and saying to you is who you are. And that's a huge battle for a lot of people, to be able to separate at first that you're not that thought, that you don't have to pay attention to it. Really, you have to acknowledge it. Okay, you're there. That's great. Love you for being there, but you know what? Bye-bye. And let it go with as much grace as you're able to command at first. And, that's a great way to stop trying to let that thing rule you.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes, 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 absolutely. And, what I want to add to that is that just the simple notion of you reminding yourself that you are not your mind,
Yes.
and that you are not your thoughts, is already going to allow you to create a little separation so that you can step out of that identification with it.
Yes.
Right? Because so many people are so deeply identified that there really is no space in between to even question it,
Yeah.
because whatever comes in is just totally accepted and taken on, right? And so just to ponder, okay, so maybe I'm not my thoughts, okay? So I'm open to that possibility, and so I'm open to the possibility of not identifying with the thought patterns that run through my mind. And so just allow that space to see where that takes you. You know what I mean? Because who are you if you're not your thoughts, right? You're the observer. So then, okay, so now this opens up into you uniting again with who you really are and understanding that your mind is your tool. You are meant to run it. You are the boss of you. You are the master of your mind, not the other way around.
Oh, absolutely. This would be so much easier if it was taught to us from a young age, because most of us come into this, we're adults, and we're very set, and we're used to listening and following what this says, and so that it makes it so much more difficult for us. And I think that we've talked about this a little bit, that the logical mind is a wonderful thing. When you're driving and you see a red light, that's what comes in and knows you're stopping, and it allows you not to kill a lot of people and get into accidents and all the rest of those things. So it has a wonderful place. But when you're laying in bed at night and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're rehashing the same thing that you've been rehashing since 6 o'clock that evening, and you're going nowhere, and you just keep going, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser, or somebody doesn't love me, or oh my gosh, this person is so sick, or any myriad of things that you just keep going over and over, that's when you're becoming what it is that you're thinking, and you're allowing it to take over. And that's kind of the differential, where you do have control over that, whether you want to believe it or not. And I know that if you're getting really angry, it's hitting somewhere home, because the first time someone ever said that to me, I totally wanted to slap them. But the more you get into it, the easier it does become. And when you really know that you're no longer the thoughts that are there that make you feel like garbage, it's such an enormous freedom. And you're going to be really, really surprised if you're in that area where maybe not, maybe can do it sometimes. Keep working with it, because again, it's just enormous freedom that allows you to feel so much more love for yourself, and gratitude, and all the rest of everything just becomes exponential.
Well said, Sue. Yes, yes, yes. And so from here, I think we should jump into another very important question that we had. And that was a question that was in regard to last time when we discussed the emotions.
Yes.
And so this was a question that was in regard to, well, how do I know what is what? What's intuition? What's emotion? What's storage? What's what? You know, because it's all this big, I don't know what is right, what is true, what am I feeling? Right?
Exactly. Am I just being a lunatic listening to voices in my head? Yeah.
Yes, and so I think we all can relate to that. I think it's a very, very, very good, very important question to address. And, you know, it does slide a little bit into another very big subject, which is intuition.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a, you know, nutshell answer, you know, remember how last time how we addressed how important it is to breathe through your emotions and to take the you time, because your emotions are yours, not to immediately let the emotion have you jump to blame and shame and da 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 da, right? Because remember, when you're pointing a finger, 3 fingers always point back to yourself.
Oh.
So to really make your emotions important and to honor them for yourself.
I know, I'm sitting here going, how can I point without doing that?
I know, I saw that. I was like, she's playing. You know, so really for you to make it your practice to breathe through your emotions and to keep your mind separated from your emotions for a while, that is the first step for you to really start clearing out the clutter and for you to really become more confident in feeling.
Okay.
And once you have established this, from there, you will naturally, intuitively be able to tell apart when intuition hits, because intuition is always going to make you feel grounded and peaceful, and it's this knowing, it's deep, and it is. Whereas emotions are always going to be wavy and overpowering and anxious time as you learn,
Hold on a
you
second.
will, yeah.
You're freezing. All right, let me try this. Okay, it kind of, you went robotic for a second and then the screen froze, so nobody was able to hear the last few things that you said. Let's try. There we go.
Okay. Do you remember what you heard last?
Emotions are very wavy.
Okay, yeah. So emotions, you know, emotions, whether it's storage or something being triggered in the moment, it's always going to feel like a rush, like, you know, like something wanting to take you over, right? So to really learn to breathe through those when they happen will clear the way into your relationship with your intuition. And so I definitely want to suggest that, you know, maybe next time or one of these next times we should definitely address intuition, huh?
Absolutely. I think that is. I think that's great because, you know, that's one of the biggest questions that I hear from people is, well, how do I really know? How do I know I'm not talking to myself? And, you know, is there ways to be clearer? And, you know, it really deserves more than, you know, the 2 or 3 minutes that we have left, because this is a huge subject. And there's so many different things and ways, and oh my gosh, every, you know, helpful hints, everything that we can get into with this. So, you know, that's maybe a good place for people if you're having some questions, specific questions. Scoot them in so that we can incorporate all of this into our talk next week. So just kind of a thought there on that.
Yes, 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 yes. Great, great, great. So, so, keep sending in those questions because this is for you, right? We're doing this for you to assist clarity, to assist this wonderful consciousness evolution that we're all a part of. And, use us.
In this context, yes. No, I think that's, yeah, absolutely, because this is, like Britta said, this is all for you guys. And, that we've gotten a lot of questions in last week, so that was absolutely great. So let's see if we can get double or triple that so that next week we could just really be all about what you guys are asking of us and what we can bring to you and, be of service with that for you. So, it's a great resource. Like she just said, okay, yeah, use us in that context. We are winding down on time here this week. So I think that we're going to have to wrap things up and, pick all of the intuition and the hints and such next week when we come back. So, this video is going to be up for the next week. If you know anybody that you think it would help them out, scoot them over the link. Have them come over and listen. Share. Share with your friends, your family, people you don't like. That's okay. Maybe something will evolve and work out nicely, and it'll be some good karma for everyone with that. But, so we will be back next week. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for all of the questions that came in. And I'll let Britta say goodbye to you guys now, too.
Yes, and if you have any more questions in regard to boundaries or any further comments, definitely, don't think it's done. All of these subjects, as you will see, will begin to just merge into one another. And another thing that keeps coming in that I just want to mention quickly is that we are in an energy where the female energy is growing and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger, and a lot of men are actually having a very hard time with it. Just as much as females, women are having a hard time with adjusting and shifting into these, being clearer, being stronger, being more in our self-worth, right? And so this is all the kind of stuff that relates into boundaries. It relates into the emotions, right? Because there is so much that has gone wrong between the sexes that that in itself is a huge subject that ties into all of the subjects beautifully. So something that we may want to stay mindful of and bring in a little bit more.
Absolutely great idea. All right, well, I think that's it for this week. So we'll say bye now. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye, Sue.
Bye, Britta.